Okie dokie, guys. Welcome back to another video. It has been a minute since we've been in the garage. Been a crazy snowmobile season. We're getting into dirt bikes now. I've actually rode like 6 times already, and it's not even June yet. But here's the cool thing. I am off work now. As you guys know, I'm a teacher, and so I have all summer off. I'm freaking pumped about it. Anyway, I'll do an update video. How about that? I'll just do an update video, so stay tuned for that. For those of you that are here for the fork rebuild video, though, check it out. We have some, I'm going to call them the open cartridge KYBs. So basically from 2005 and down in years, that would be the bikes that had this fork. So if you guys own a bike that is Yamaha, that is 05 and older, this video is going to apply to you. So if you own a bike that is newer that have the SSS forks, I do have a video on that. I will put a link up here. Go check it out. That's what I have on my personal bike. I've rebuilt a ton of KYB forks. These are super simple. So there is a couple tricks, and I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna walk through, clean them up, do the works. So you guys are not gonna get the 2-minute fork build video and have all the questions afterwards. I'm gonna answer everything for you. So enjoy the video, let's get started. Okay, as you can see here, we've got our drain pan for our oil. What you're gonna need is a flathead screwdriver, a 17mm wrench, a 19mm, and a 14mm Allen socket. I don't have one, so when I built my first set of forks, did my first set of fork seals, I ended up making this sweet little tool that happens to be a 14mm bolt head, and I put that on my impact, and that allows me to take this bottom apart. So 14mm Allen or your makeshift 89 CR250 bolt for the, I think that was for the subframe, I can't remember. Anyway, fork seals and dust seals, your bushing kit. I will link all of this down below in the description. Your choice of fork oil, we're actually going to use the regular fork oil. This is for a customer, and more than likely they're going to get rebuilt quite often. We've got a seal bullet and our 46mm seal driver, and last but not least, our level, oh geez, whatever you want to call it. This decides our fluid level. So, and then of course, your fork. Now, the other one is chilling right over there. Already been done. I kind of wanted to see the condition of these, just for the video purposes anyway, but they're overall in pretty decent condition. So, this was the other thing too. I don't love this. I got this from Rocky Mountain. This is a soft jaws for forks and shocks, and then these are your different shock, piston diameters or rod diameters. But get yourself a set of soft jaws, even something like this, that just keep your forks in the vise, but not, jacking them up. So, all right, let's get started. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is pop the cap on our fork. Now, you can do this in the bike. Just make sure that you loosen your top triple clamp before you do so, or else you are going to cause a whole heck of a lot of issues. And also make sure that you check your clickers beforehand. Let's go ahead and do that. The last one was 6 in, 3, 4, 5, yep, 6, okay. And then the bottom was 14, so I will go ahead really quick while this is sealed and make sure that the bottom is out at 14 clicks. So just go ahead and pull this little rubber boot out. If it doesn't have the rubber boot, that's a bummer, because that keeps all the dirt and everything like that from getting in there to where you make your adjustment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yep, same thing. Perfect. Okay, now take our cap off. If you're using a vise, be very, very careful not to super clamp these and cause yourself a lot of issues. Go ahead and break this free. Okay, get it almost all the way out, and it will loosen up and kind of stop right there. And what you can do, push up on your bottom leg, and there you go. You're free to go. We're going to go ahead and drain the majority of this oil into our little pan here. Last fork didn't have too much, been leaking for quite a while. This one already has more, I can tell. So that's a good thing. A lot of this oil is trapped in the bottom of the cartridge there, so, or in the chamber, if you want to call it that. So we'll go ahead and let this drain for just a second and have some rags on hand and some microfibers. Okay, now that we got some of this drained, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually take the top cap off here. You're gonna need your 17 millimeter and your 19. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna lower this spring a little bit and keep this little cap up there, and then put your 17 right there, and go ahead and, oh, shouldn't be that tight, but they are. Go ahead and pop that loose and thread that off, and push down on that spring. It'll allow you to take it off a lot easier. And there's a little bumper on the inside. This may be deteriorated depending on how old your fork oil is or how long it's been since it's been serviced. So if it is, hopefully you can replace that part still. I don't know. All right, and then we will go ahead and remove our spring, set it aside, and then we'll have our dampening rod. This guy is just chilling right here, and it's always so hard to get out. We'll just tip it. There we go. And pull out your rod, set it aside. Okay, now here comes the fun part. The only way to get all the oil out of this is to get this out, this inner cartridge, or this, base valve assembly. And the only way to do it is to put an impact on here, unless you buy the Yamaha holding tool, which nobody's going to do that holds the base valve assembly itself from spinning. So what you want to do is get your 14 millimeter Allen. There's my 14 millimeter. Get your impact on it, and you're going to just pull slightly on the actual assembly down here. You're going to, and you're going to hold this. And what that's going to do is it's going to bind it up and allow you to put torque on this and loosen it. There we go, it's already coming out. So that's exactly what we wanted to do. And once it spins, that's pretty much it. And you'll be able to feel it, you'll be able to tell. And then go ahead and run your base valve assembly up and push this guy out, just like that. And ta-da, there it is. Pretty simple. Okay, now that we've got that out, and I spilled oil all over my shoe, which sucks, we're going to take a couple rags here, and we're going to wipe this assembly off, this inner assembly. And you can see exactly why you want to pull that apart. Like, look at all that garbage that's inside there. If you don't pull this apart, yeah, you leave a lot of garbage in there. So anyway, you just want to make sure you pay attention to that. So anyway, and then go ahead and dump any oil that may still be in there, which there really shouldn't be a whole lot, but a little bit. So you can see about how much came out. Just kind of pump that, get it all out of there, and you're golden. I'm going to set this aside and let it drain, and we'll work on our fork seals. Okay, fork seals. Go ahead and extend your tube out a little bit. Okay, get you a small flathead screwdriver, stick it right in there, and pop your dust seal off. Some of these they get dry rotted and a little bit stubborn. Go ahead and pop your dust seal off, and then right up inside there's going to be a little clip, and that clip has to come out in order to get your seal out. So this one, just like the last one, seal is totally shot, which obviously is why we're doing this, but I mean, even the spring is coming off the seal. Then just go ahead and pop this off, and now we're just hammering action here. We're just gonna slide hammer this till the seal comes out like that, and of course it'll make a mess. Go ahead and let the outer tube drain, and we will start taking apart the inner tube. So what we're gonna do, spin your bushings. Your bushings are coated, and once your coating wears off, and these ones actually look fairly good, but since we've got our new ones here, we're gonna rebuild it anyway. Basically, if that coating is wore off, your bushings are shot. And at that point, you're going to start scarring the inside of your fork. So this rubs on the inside of the outer tube. That would be your outer bushing. This would be your inner bushing. The coating is on the inside of this one. That runs on the inside tube. Next, you're going to have your washer, and you always want to put your sharp side down. Well, that's the way I've done it. And your oil seal, and it is trashed. You can see the little ring just kind of fell off right here, the little spring, retainer spring. And then last but not least is the dust seal. And you want to replace both of these together, always. You don't ever want to just do one or the other. Make sure you do them at the same time. And then at this point, our entire inner tube assembly is completely disassembled. And we're going to inspect that right now. What we want to look at with this is we want to look for any scoring, any scratches, anything on the tube that is going to cause the, oh yeah, a little bit right there, that is going to cause the new oil seal from sealing. And this tube looks pretty good for the year that it is. But we're still going to, we're going to Scotch-Brite this up a little bit because it does have some, not some like deep scratches or anything like that, but stuff that's probably going to cause us some issues. The other fork was the same way. So I'll show you how we do that. All right, with your soft jaws, I'll put a link down below on these ones too, because they're great. Go ahead and put your fork tube in there. Never ever clamp the actual tube itself. And then you're just gonna take your Scotch-Brite pad, and I'm probably gonna get some flack for this on the internet, but I really don't care because I've done a lot of forks and actually had to do this a few times. Make sure this is wet. I'm just using some contact cleaner. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to lightly just go across and scuff these up. And this acts the same way that a piston does inside of a cylinder. By putting this pattern in here, what you're doing is first I'm knocking down all those high ridges or issue spots that I had, and I am cleaning them up and giving them a nice surface for the oil to ride on. So kind of like cross-hatching in a cylinder. What I'm doing is I'm giving a place for the oil to hold onto the actual inner tube, and that is going to allow good lubrication and, you know, allow the oil to do its job. So never ever have I done this and had a issue with fork seals leaking. So yeah, learned this from an old friend too, old mechanic buddy. It doesn't take a lot, just a little bit. I'm just being thorough about it because I did have a couple of spots that were not very awesome. Okay, once you're done there, take your contact cleaner or suspension cleaner or whatever, brake clean, whatever you're using, and let's clean the entire fork up. I'm going to just go back and look at it one more time, make sure everything looks okay. Yeah, there's that spot right there. Yep, that feels better. So the reason I'm going this way is because you need the oil to cling here. If you go this way, you can create areas for the oil to go in between the seal and the actual tube itself. So anyway, but Scotch-Brite, I mean, that purple Scotch-Brite is so fine. It doesn't do anything. It still feels just as smooth and shiny. And yeah, good stuff. So, all right, let's go ahead and put this back together. All right, guys, real quick here. Shameless merch plug, but go check out dynamixmotoco.com. We have hats, we've got shirts, I got a hoodie. I say a hoodie. I'm new, I'm starting this up. I'm super excited about it, and I'm gonna have some good stuff for you. So if you guys wanna help support me and support the channel and get some sick merch while you're at it, go check it out, dynamixmotoco.com. I'll put a link down below in the description, and yeah, that makes this kind of stuff happen for you guys. Snowmobiling, dirt bikes, all of it's expensive, and I love doing it. And so I'm I'm building a business here. I'm building something up so that I can continue to do what I love. So anyway, those of you that have already purchased some merch, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. Go follow me on Instagram where you get updates on pretty much everything all the time. And yeah, let's clean some parts back up. All right, guys, everything's cleaned up, so we're gonna go ahead and go back together with all of our stuff. What I like to do is take my fork oil, put a little bit of oil in the cap, and this will be, wow, almost spilled that everywhere. This will be what I use to lubricate everything as I go back on with it. So, a little bit of fork oil, just kind of put it on the fork itself just to give it a little lubrication here. Okay. First thing we're going to do is get our bushings out, our seals, because we're going to need them. This would be our oil seal. This would be our dust seal. So major difference between the oil seal and the dust seal. The dust seal has this giant ring around it. Pretty obvious to tell. And then the oil seal, an easy telltale is there's a spring on the inside and on the outside of the oil seal. Outside only on the dust seal. So remember that. Okay, first thing that's going to go on is going to be our dust seal. So a little bit of fork oil. I also use some Race Tech, let me get it for you here, some Race Tech Ultra Slick seal grease sometimes. I honestly just kind of forgot this time, but anyway, that is an option. Before you go on with that, get yourself a seal bullet. These are like $2 online, super cheap. Slide that over, and that will protect everything as it slides on. You always want to use protection. Slide that on, nice and easy. On the dust seal, the spring side goes down. No problem. Oil seal next. And again, a little bit of lube in here, a little bit of fork oil, and then slide this one on. And this one's gonna be a little snugger. There we go, just like that. And the next thing that we have is going to be our ring, and put it back on the same way we took it off, just like that. And then now this guy can come off, and you're done with it. All right, next thing is going to be our bushing. All right, and what you're gonna see is, well, and we got a new clip too, but that doesn't need to go on right now. You're gonna take your inner bushing, your inner guide bushing, and throw some lube on it, slide it right over. Next is going to be your outer guide bushing. Same thing. This one will sit right in that little channel right there in the fork tube, the inner tube, just like so. And then you are ready to go back together with your outer and your inner tube. Take your outer tube, go ahead, slide it on nice and gently, like so. And I'm gonna flip this around so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay, go ahead and flip it over. Take your fork seal driver, stick it in there, or on there, like so. And then you're going to go ahead and just drive your fork seal till the tone changes, like that. Now that's all the way in, the bushing is seated, life is good. Pop your driver off. And then take your circlip, slide it right over, and push it in until it clicks, which is right there. And yep, we are all the way seated. Okay, there you go. Then just take your dust seal, slide it up, and you should be able to push it in by hand, just like so. And there you go. Fork seal is installed. Okay, now before you go back together, this is your base valve assembly. This is where all the magic happens, where your oil flow and everything goes through. This is where your shim stack is. So there's shim there, shim there. Anyway, just kind of inspect this. If you need to replace these parts, replace them, like the copper washer and the O-rings. These are in amazing condition. But anyway, replace the parts that you need to, and then go back together with it. Another thing too, things like this little fork cap right here. What I did was I just took it, well, you guys saw, I took it to the Prime MX wheel and just cleaned it up. Those little differences make a huge, those little touches make a huge difference to a customer. And of course to your own bike if you're doing it for yourself. But just make sure that you take the extra time. I mean, that took me a whole minute to just go ahead and do that real quick, to plug that in and clean that up. And obviously all your other parts, make sure that they're cleaned up, they're dialed. And as far as these two, the tapered side goes up, so you want to put that in with the tapered side up. And then this little bumper goes larger side down with the taper up, and that all goes together like so. Okay, that way if you had any question as to how that goes together. But anyway, just take your time, go the extra mile, make it nice, make it clean, make it right, and you know, do a good job. All right, guys, back in the vise we go. We are going to reinstall our inner cartridge. Let me get this focused in the right spot, kind of show you what I'm talking about here. So take our cartridge, go ahead, slide it up in, and you'll just kind of wiggle it until it slides up in, and then with the fork all the way compressed, you can kind of reach in there, get it centered up. There we go. And you can see the threads poke out. At that point, take your base valve assembly, stick it in, and just get it started by hand, which right there started by hand. Now this whole assembly won't fall back in to the fork. And then you can let out on your dampener rod. Same kind of deal. I'm going to go ahead and just run this down by hand until I get it tight, because I don't, or close to tight anyway. I really don't want to ruin this. Torque is 40 foot-pounds on this, but let's be honest, nobody's buying the suspension tool. Nobody is going to torque this to spec. So, and what I've done in the past, present, future, is just taken my impact on my medium setting, which I have a Milwaukee, so it can get a little bit gnar, and go ahead and torque it down. Right there, and that's pretty good. And you'll feel it when you get there. And that is reinstalled. All right, guys, let's add some fluid to this. And we got our bottom, our inner tube compressed all the way up, and we are going, oh frick. Wow. Holy. Just because I'm filming, I swear. I didn't, oh, jeez. Do as I say, not as I do. What a fail. Like, who does this crap, seriously? Okay, fill your fork tube up until it is clear up to the top. And then you're going to stroke the dampener rod up and down, up and down, up and down. There we go. Nice, clean, clear fluid. Dump our dampener rod in there. Oh, yeah. And we're just going to take this, and we're going to work our air bubbles out. You can hear that bubbling. Oh, there we go. I don't know how many times, probably 6, 8, 10 times. There we go. That's what we want. And just get all the air bubbles out. Take your time, let the air travel to the top. This is why you use good fork fluid, like the Maxima stuff, because it allows the bubbles to dissipate really quickly and rise to the top. And that is a good functioning dampener rod right there. Okay, this is just the first step to getting it right. All right, the next thing we're going to do is not spill our fork oil, obviously. We're going to fill it back up to the top again, and it shouldn't take a whole lot. Right about there. And now you're going to stroke the inner tube up and down, but you're only going to go up and down about 8 inches or so because you don't want to introduce air back into the system. So go down about there, come back up, nice and easy, and you'll hear it doing its thing. There. Okay, and looking good. We're going to take our dampener rod one more time, cycle it, make sure we're still good there. And all of this is done, by the way, with the lower or inner tube all the way up in the outer tube. All right, our last step here is to suck out the remaining oil using our tool here. We've got it set to 135 millimeters, which is what it should be. And we are going to evacuate the remaining oil with it at all the way to the top of the stroke. And what will be the correct fork fluid height. Now, some manuals will call for a specific amount of fork fluid. Some will tell you a height, some will tell you both. This specific fork is asking for, or is talking about a height. There it is. Okay, that is the correct fork fluid height right there. Push the rest of this back in. By the way, as far as fork fluid height goes, kind of the rule here is the higher your fork fluid height is in the fork, the more compression you're going to have, the less compression you're going to have. So anyway, read your manual. It'll kind of tell you everything you need to know that way, but that's just a general kind of rule of thumb there to go by. Go back together with her. We're going to go ahead and separate the two. Oh, sorry. Pull our dampener rod out. Then we're going to lower the inner tube away from the outer tube. Just like so. Okay. Sorry, neighbors. It's only freaking 11:30. Okay, last thing before you go back together with this, make sure that this nut is just finger tight down at the bottom. This will thread all the way off. Make sure your dampener rod's in there, and it should bounce a little bit. And then you're going to take this, and you're going to drop it down over, and take our cap with everything on it, set it on top here. Oh my gosh, I can't fit my fingers in there. There we go. Okay, get it started like that. Once it's started, you're going to go back to your 17 mil wrench, which is right there. Push your spring down, hold your cap up, get it on there like that so you're in between the two. And then, since I've already got started, I'm just going to spin it on with the impact. Just get it close, right there. And torque on it is 22 foot-pounds. But to be honest, 22 foot-pounds is not that much. We just need to snug it. And we will be golden right there. Okay, just like that. Money. Slide our tube up. And like I said before, make sure you replace the O-rings that need replaced. Your bushing kit should come with all that stuff. Luckily, and if I'm being 100% honest, I don't really replace the O-rings unless they need it. Only because it's most of the time doesn't need to happen unless the fork oil is just super disgusting. Oh, one more thing. My battery died right when I said that. Turn your clickers back into where they were. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then on the bottom, we were out, or in 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There we go. Now everything is back to normal, and your forks are now completely finished. I will link down below all of the stuff that I used in this video. Seal driver, seal bullet, you know, as far as the parts go, find your parts that fit your bike. Yeah, what you're going to find also, last thing, is these these rebuild kits, as you can see, there's a million different bikes that this accommodates. So you're not going to use all the parts in the rebuild kits, but that's kind of the nature of the beast. So anyway, they cleaned up nice. They look really good and ready to go back on a bike. Okay guys, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, give me a like, go follow me, and go check out some merch, by the way, dynamixmotoco.com. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks.